Hi, kia ora, and welcome to the Creative Matters podcast, where we have really inspiring conversations with artists living in and from Aotearoa, New Zealand. I'm your host, Mandy Jakic. Hi, welcome back to the podcast. I'm speaking this week with Cathy Carter. Cathy is a photographic and multimedia conceptual artist living in Grey Lynn in Auckland. Cathy's art is inspired by concerns about climate change and our evolving relationship with bodies of water as physical, cultural and unique environmental landscapes, and she investigates our complex psychological relationship to water through different perspectives and geographical locations. Cathy and I have such a lovely chat, which I know you'll enjoy, and I just loved our time together. We talk about an influential trip to Europe with her young family that influenced her and informed her early art practice, why she finally went back to uni to study fine arts at AUT University, gaining a Master of Art and Design in 2013, and why she felt she needed to do this. She shares how she came to make water her muse and how her work became more conceptual, and also how she came to be represented by a dealer gallery as soon as she left uni. We explore her extensive and wonderful series of works, from her Oceanids series to her latest Fluid Alchemy series, and why she likes to dip in and out of these series. We discuss her creative process, how she makes some of her work, the ideas behind her work, and how she likes to also incorporate sculpture, light boxes, and collaborative pieces in her shows. Cathy also talks about why she likes to enter art awards and competitions, the success she has had with this, and how she approaches submitting her work. Kia ora, Cathy.
Hi, Mandy.
How are you?
Very good, thank you. It's so beautiful to be out here today.
Yeah.
Sun shining and there's incredible surf out there.
Yes, you've already dipped your toes in the sea.
I have. It was absolutely beautiful. Getting warm already, I'd say.
Yeah, which is amazing and sort of appropriate, I guess, that you dip your toes in before you start talking about your practice, which is obviously very connected to the ocean.
Correct, yeah.
So, welcome to the Creative Matters podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's fabulous.
Thank you for coming. It's so exciting. And as often happens, the more I've sort of looked into your work, the more excited I've become to talk to you, because your practice and your body of work is so incredible.
Thank you so much for saying that.
It really is. I can't wait to hear the story. So you were born in Auckland. Can you tell us a little bit about the kind of child you were?
So I was actually born in New Plymouth.
That's right.
And at 3 years old, my father got a posting in Hong Kong as Crown Counsellor. So we moved to Hong Kong, and we were there for 3 years, living up on the Peak, which is at the top of a mountain in Hong Kong Central kind of thing. I really think that now that I look back on where I've gone with my art practice, those years were very influential. We would often be above the clouds as the monsoons would roll in, and huge downpours of water, and we'd go and sit in the monsoon drains and have the water rush over the top of us, kind of like a waterfall. And also when it was clear days, it was just this incredible aerial view down to the harbour, which was so much quieter than it is now.
Mm.
I really like that perspective, and I think from living on the island at that time, it was a real influence, the water everywhere.
Yeah, you can see that, and that whole idea of perspective.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And so in high school, were you starting to discover your creative side?
Not even so much in high school. In primary school, I was. I would often be taken out of class to produce works for plays and productions. I was really into making, all sorts of things, including clothing. My mother was into making her own clothes, so I was brought up with two makers. Even though my father was a lawyer, he was making outdoor furniture a lot, and my mother took up upholstery, and she was a teacher, but she took up upholstery and she would make her own clothes. So, I kind of inherited that love of making from them.
And how did you find the restrictions of high school art?
So I never did high school art, which was kind of interesting. Really wanted to, but my parents both thought that art was a hobby, and their thing was that I could make art once I finished school and once I had a job. So their main thing was for me to be able to support myself. And so even though I just begged them to let me do art, they didn't let me. But anyway, that's kind of interesting in itself, that you allow your parents to dictate to you what you're going to take. Yeah, so instead I just spent all my time at home creating art. So I did art courses, workshops and things, did printmaking. When I got to uni, I was making jewellery and selling it to offices around the Auckland Central. I'd just cold call the receptionist and ask her if she could take around my jewellery and see if anyone would buy it.
Really?
So when I finished school, I decided to go to uni and do a BA, and I started off studying art history, archaeology, but also I did botany and biology because I was really interested in the natural world, and that was fabulous, but I wasn't really sure why I was there. So I ended up at AUT doing advertising and marketing because I thought that was a creative area to get into. When I left there, I ended up working at Darcy S. Macy Spenton and Bowles as a production assistant, and that was great for a couple of years. And then my partner, Paul, got a job in Wellington working for David Longyears as press secretary.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it was a great job. Paul really enjoyed working for him. He really admired him. And so I got a job out at Avalon working as a props buyer, and then moved in at the end of that time to doing art direction. And then we moved to Singapore, where I became a freelance art director for about 5 different production companies. And they were incredible years because they were kind of formative years for Singaporean creativity in that area, in the area of advertising and film. And so I was lucky enough to be able to kind of do everything on the job. So I would do hairstyling, makeup, wardrobe, even making sets, and then obviously the art direction. And the great thing about working there was that whenever you did an international company like Levi's, you would get to travel to the different countries in the region to recreate the same ad because you needed to use local talents. So you'd go to Malaysia and Indonesia, and so that got to do quite a lot of travel around the region. So that was an incredible life. And but at some stage, I decided that Singapore, we were there for 4 years. I decided that if I didn't leave at that point, I would just become kind of complacent about how easy life was there. And I just wanted kind of a reality shift back. And I missed New Zealand. So we came back here, and I set up with a friend a business called FBI, Fabulous Bureau of Illustrators, because I thought being involved and in contact with artists and helping them with their careers would be a fulfilling kind of thing to do. So we would find the artist for the campaign or the production of some kind of food can or whatever, and that was great. But we started when I had one child, and my girlfriend, who I set the business up with, she had 2 already, And then by the time 4 years came around, she had 4 kids and I had 3, and we were just going, whoa, this is really hard.
Yeah, that's a lot.
This is hard. So we sold it to one of the people we employed, a lovely woman, and had a bit of a break at that point. Yeah, raising kids.
Yeah. And were you thinking about your own art practice at that time?
All through that time, I was making my own art. So I was painting. I even sold works to different people, mainly friends, but I never had an actual exhibition. Not until I then went back and studied glass art at Art Station for a year. And at the end of that time, I'd made some really great friends, and we had a great group show at Art Station of all the art, of all the glass that we'd been making.
Amazing.
And that kind of got me realizing that to be part of that art world, I kind of needed more information, and I also needed to be part of a community. So it got me thinking about going back to uni.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great place to build that community, isn't it?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, and really sort of make those connections. So you made the decision to study as a mum?
That's right, yeah. So I had my youngest was 4. I've got 3 children. And so that first year was a little bit tricky with, my husband had to really step in a lot, which was great. I basically did an undergraduate at AUT and then my master's, and absolutely loved my time at AUT. It was incredible. Yeah.
How amazing. Wow. And just so lovely that you managed to finally study fine arts as you wished, all those years ago.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't believe how long it took me.
Yeah. But you had to do the other stuff, and then
and I don't regret any of the other stuff. The other stuff was great. So
and that would have informed your practice.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And I actually do think it is good to be studying fine art when you're a bit older and you've had a bit of life experience.
Yeah. Yeah. You're so much more sure of your own vision, and it's a lot easier to know what you want and not second guess it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what would have happened if you'd gone straight from high school.
Yeah, who knows? But I certainly wouldn't have been, I don't know. It would have been very different.
Yeah, it would have been. So what were you looking at when you were studying, and did you get that connection with bodies of water all those years ago at that time?
So my attraction, I realised, to glass art happened because when I was travelling around Europe, we took the kids. Sorry, I'm going backwards in time now.
That's
but
all right.
We took the our 3 children to live in France for 4 months in a small village called Samoines, because we'd put them into the French immersion unit at Richmond Road School.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really quite understand why they were there because neither of us spoke French very well. And so we thought, we've got to take them there and show them, that it's relevant and, to their daily lives and that there's a whole nother culture out there. So we went there and put them into school. Zazie was only 4 at the time, so she was in maternelle, which is like a preschool class. And during that time when we were there for the 4 months, we travelled before and after, and we went to so many art galleries and museums all over Europe. And the kids absolutely loved it. And for me, it was amazing because all the artist work that I'd seen in books, learning art history at uni, suddenly were in front of my eyes, and they were just like so incredibly different. I could not believe the different experience of standing in front of the artwork as opposed to, looking at these small images in a book, you know. And as well as that, it was the incredible stained glass windows that we saw in all the cathedrals and churches. And while I was looking at these stained glass windows, I saw that a lot of these windows were having to be replaced because the glass had kind of slumped down to the bottom. The top parts of the glass were becoming very thin. So that our whole idea that glass is still a liquid, even though it appears to be solid and it's always moving. I just love that idea. So that was partly why I then went and did the cast glass work. So just that idea that it's a liquid form, and I was so drawn to anything that's to do with water. Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? That you've had that in you for so long, all the way back to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, of course, growing up on New Zealand beaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think most New Zealanders have got, the sea in their blood.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you went to uni after that, so we've sort of backtracked and come back again, which is good. We like that. What were you creating
talking about
there?
Some kind of weird flow.
Yes.
Ebb and flow.
Absolutely. It all makes sense. Were you starting to make work that feels a bit like the work you make now, do you think, at uni?
Yes. So I started off and I thought I was going to do sculpture, and I really enjoyed that. But I found lugging around these really heavy things too arduous, especially as I was rushing back to pick up kids from school and things like that. And so I decided to move into the photography at AUT, and that kind of, to me, made a lot of sense because cast glass is all about light, and as is photography. I loved my time in the photography department. Four incredibly brilliant and strong women who were running that. Ingrid Boberg, Denica Jansen, Monique Redman, and Fiona Amundsen, who, were just very inspirational and very encouraging. We had an amazing workshop. They introduced a workshop during my time there where we went away to Goat Island for a weekend, and we would be sent out early in the morning to take photos and then edit them during the day and then show them in the evening. During that time, Ingrid pointed out to me that I needed to do a little bit more editing on my photographs to make them, to make it easy to read the message that I was wanting to communicate to the audience. And that was a kind of a pivotal moment for me because I hadn't kind of thought about how much I could do in the editing process. So it wasn't really until I got to my master's when I actually decided, it was Monique Redman who asked me, actually had a conversation with me. She kind of showed me that I had thousands of ideas, but for my master's, I needed to actually dive deep into a kind of conceptual area to make it work. And so it was at that point that I actually chose to make water my muse, or to be a voice for water. And so, since then I've actually never looked back in terms of there's just, so many ways that you can make work about water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you seem to be capturing ideas about water that are quite unique.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah. I mean, I love doing research. It doesn't matter where you go in the world. If you're looking at one body of water, there's information that you can find out about that's beyond the surface, whether it's mythology or past events or environmental impacts. Yeah.
Yeah. You kind of went down that conceptual road, which do you think was inspired by Monique? Was it Monique?
Monique Redman, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think she got you thinking like that? Were you ever interested in just capturing water as a photographic landscape?
I think the whole of the entire time we were studying there, it was always about the conceptual ideas. It wasn't so much about process even. It was just getting us to think about the world or water in my instance in different ways. Yeah, so that was without going to university, I would not have got there.
Yeah. And that is the great thing about university.
Yeah.
You're kind of pushed, I suppose, into new thinking.
New thinking, yeah.
Yeah, which is exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah. So where did you take it from there, and what was your show like at the end of your master's?
Oh, okay. So
that was 2 questions in one.
I'm going to go to the second one straight away.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My last show was in 2013 for my master's. I was given this incredibly huge room. I'm a bit calculaxic, but I think it was I'm probably get this wrong, but anyway, 12 by 15 meters. That sounds too much, but anyway, something like that.
A big room.
Maybe a very big room with the concrete floor and concrete ceiling and concrete walls. And I decided to do a huge installation. So I wanted to bring water into the room, and water is always problematic in terms of exhibitions, because gallery spaces don't really like water in their gallery spaces. It doesn't really go with artwork. But so I decided to do these tubes of water, and so I hung 42 tubes of water. I brought in some scaffolding because I wasn't allowed to hang them from the ceiling because it might have brought the whole ceiling down. So I brought some scaffolding in and hung these 42 tubes of water, which I'd collected from down the road from where I live in Grey Lynn, at Cox's Bay, and transported in buckets with lids on. And that was in itself quite a thing. Yeah. And
what were the tubes like?
The tubes were made from plastic, and I had sealed them with a kind of a heat kind of iron. This equipment that I found outside of AUT, and so I hung them and filled them kind of 3/4 of the way up, kind of to eye level, so that it felt like when you're walking through the space that you were just, well, I guess it's depending on how tall you are, but for me, it was like I was just having my eyes just above the water, so I could just see the surface of the water, or in another way of thinking about it, like a horizon.
Yeah.
And then I did 4 different videos, which I aimed at the 3 walls and on the floor of the gallery, so that it was a really immersive experience, and the water was swirling around, and there was fish in the water, and there was a sound element as well. Yeah,
beautiful.
Yeah, so it was quite incredible how it changed the space over time. So it was up for, I think, at least a week, and the room became colder and very kind of peaceful. It was kind of lovely just to go and sit in there, and
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah,
that sounds incredible. And then, preparing to leave university, what were you thinking?
So the really great thing about that show was that Antoinette Godkin gave me a call after she'd seen it and said, would I be interested in being represented by her? So that was amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So straight out of uni, and to already have a gallery, I just felt, wow, so excited. And I really loved how, her perspective on the art world and how long she'd been in it. And unfortunately, though, she moved from the gallery in Lawn Street to her gallery in Parnell at that time, which was kind of a little bit smaller, and but still great to have some shows in her gallery. Yeah.
Oh, that would have been such a fantastic thing. It's everyone's dream coming out of uni.
Yeah.
I mean, did you feel like you were off? Like this is the beginning?
Totally. I felt like I was off. I had been exhibiting before I left uni, so I'd had quite a few group shows with other artists around Auckland, which we'd organised ourselves, and also I had been showing with Black Asterisk, which was there for a little while up top of Ponsonby Road.
Yeah, brilliant. So you were already pretty proactive and getting your work out there, weren't you?
Yeah.
And were you thinking of yourself as an artist by that point, through uni?
I was finally,
Yeah, which is great.
Because at the beginning, when people ask you what do you do, and you say artist, you feel like, oh, yeah, fake it till you make it. Yeah,
isn't it funny that everyone, like literally everyone, has that period where they're not sure if they can use that title?
That's right.
It's actually fascinating.
It is.
Like plumbers don't think like that.
No.
Shall I call myself a plumber? Am I a real plumber? It is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess there is that idea of, when do I become good enough to be able to call myself that, or experienced enough, or everyone has those thoughts in their mind, I suppose.
Yeah. I think it helped that I was doing it full time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about getting other jobs, but I just thought, I've worked all my life in other jobs, and I just really want to focus on this now.
Yeah. So you've been a full-time artist for like 10 years.
Yeah, just over 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. So how did your work develop from there? Where did you go?
So I just started creating work and having exhibitions, and I went into as many competitions as I could, art competitions. Yeah, I continued looking to have exhibitions in other parts of New Zealand and overseas. One of those art competitions meant that I was in the head-on portrait prize, which is an annual competition in Sydney. So I ended up doing an actual exhibition as part of that one year. And I had a show in New York, which was kind of, again, through a competition, another group show. I just was always looking outside of the box and just thinking, how can I reach as many people as I possibly can?
Yeah. So that was your intention, is to get your work out there and get it seen.
That's right, yeah. Because I was really aware that you have an exhibition, a group of people come and have a look at it, and it's there for a couple of weeks, and then it's down again, and that work sometimes never gets to be seen again.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. But I also realized over time that you could show your work more than once, which was such a relief.
Yeah, phew. Yeah, which is good. So those awards that you have actually, you've been a finalist in so many leading art awards, like the Molly Morpeth Canada Spark and Drawing Prize, the Head-On Portrait Prize, which you just mentioned, Wallace Art Awards, and Walker and Hall Awards.
And the National Contemporary Art Awards.
Yes. And it's not just finalist once in a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this year, the best, it was so exciting. I went into the Uxbridge Art and Ecology Awards for the first time, and I came second.
That's
so that
fantastic.
was just so exciting. I couldn't believe it. I went out there for the prize giving, and just because I wanted to see some of the other artists and see the work, and my jaw just dropped. I just almost started crying because I couldn't believe it.
That's so great. But you've had so much success in competitions, and competitions are interesting, aren't they? That it could be discouraging for some artists who never manage to get anywhere, and they're always submitting their work. What is your approach?
Yeah, so I always make new work, and I always think a lot about what the idea of the awards is. They normally have a theme of some sort. I always see it as just a great opportunity to make almost like a one-off work, and it always takes me down a path where I probably wouldn't have gone otherwise. So, for example, that latest one where Eyes Wide Open, which was at the Uxbridge Awards, it actually was a work that I'd tried for a critique at uni all those years ago, And it was actually critiqued by Thomas Roof, who's a really famous German artist or photographer artist, and didn't get a great critique, to be honest. But I'd always loved it, and I always trust my own intuition. If I think that there's something in a work, it doesn't really, I take notice. But if someone doesn't really like the work, but I always kind of stick true to what I believe about the work. So I thought, oh, this is a great opportunity to revisit that work. So it was about taking those plastic dolls. I never throw anything away, so I've got storage of so many collected items. But anyway, I brought out my old dolls that I'd used for that critique, and I took them down to the Itamaki estuary and waded out in the mud and placed them in the mud, and then got down on cardboard sheets on the mud and took photos of them.
Wow, how amazing.
And I just love that idea that of kind of an apocalyptic landscape where all that's left are the plastics. Yeah, and they're marching forward.
Brilliant. Yeah, and that came second, which is nice that you finally had some sort of buy-in.
That's right.
Yeah, and good on you for believing in what you're doing.
Yeah, and the good idea is never over, right?
Yeah.
So you can always really look at things down the track, even if you haven't realised them at the time you had the idea.
Yeah. And do you ever get rejected, and sort of how does that affect you if you do?
Yeah, I take it quite lightly, to be honest. I'm quite resilient. Like I just accept that not everyone's going to love what where you're coming from or what you want to talk about, or even the work. And it's very personal. Art's very personal. So, and there's often sometimes there's only one judge. So that's a hard thing to always be on their list.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really worry me. It's yeah.
And with competitions, do you have to write a statement explaining the ideas behind the work?
Yep, you do. And in the beginning, that was excruciatingly difficult. But I've kind of got better at it over time, and I quite enjoy it now.
Yeah, you seem really proficient with that kind of thing. I mean, your website, there's a lot of really great information in your website about all the different series and different artworks. And
I sometimes wonder if there's too much information, because you look at other people's websites and there's almost nothing. So
no, I think, from my point of view, it's fantastic. I'm just like, yes, it's like a gold mine of information, which is so good. And I personally like to hear the backstories of people's work. I think it's a good thing. But you do seem very talented at that artist statement writing. Which is a bonus, because it's very hard for a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah. At the beginning it was really, really difficult for me because it's not my natural thing to write. My husband's a great writer, and I used to always get him to edit all because he would say it's Cathy Carter speak, like.
Yeah, that's true.
But now if he looks at, if I tried to get him to edit my work now, or my writing now, it just gets kind of like, I found my voice, so I don't need.
You want to do it yourself. Yeah. Well, that's great, and that's a lovely kind of journey for you to get to that point.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. So let's just start talking about your work specifically. Can you describe to somebody who's never heard of Cathy Carter and has never seen your work, can you describe the kind of work you make?
So I would say that photography is my main area of work, but then I also really love making objects. So I also do sculpture and light boxes, and more recently I did a collaboration for my last exhibition with a really talented jeweler, Simone Muxlow, who lives in Melbourne, in which I sent over plastics that I collected off the beaches for the last 4 years, and she created this amazing array of wearable art for my exhibition I just had, which was Fluid Alchemy.
Yeah, and I did go to that opening.
Yeah, I saw you there.
I saw you there. I was like, wow, she looks so glamorous. Oh my goodness, I'm too shy to speak to her.
Oh, don't be silly.
But that was an incredible show.
Yeah, so that exhibition, the last couple of exhibitions I've done at Fernanda Galleries, I've mainly done photography. Occasionally had one of my acrylic zips, which are in the space, and I usually always have the pile of sea salt to bring the ocean into the space, since it's more difficult to bring the water into the space.
I love that. And I've seen you piling it up in a corner, and that
So that kind of came from Felix Gonzalez inspiration, where he had that pile of, I think he's done it a couple of times, pile of sweets in the corner, which was quite a different idea behind it, but physically I was really drawn to that. Yeah,
that's beautiful. You do, with your photography, you do seem to work in series. I mean, on your website there's like at least 20 collections of work in there, which is fascinating and all so beautiful. So how do you sort of organize those different series of works, which are kind of using photography in different ways, in some ways, aren't they, and different techniques? How do you manage your series? And perhaps you could talk about some of them for us.
Sure. So I tend to work in series just because it means that I can keep adding to them over time. So I can be kind of like, I like variety in my life, and I like, I like to be able to move freely through ideas and things. So if I'm feeling like I want to go back to a series, I can do that at any point in time. Yeah. So one of the series, Seaside series, actually came from a work that I made specifically for the Wallace Art Awards, and I mean, I loved it, and I got lots of great feedback from it. So I continued to work in that series. It's called Seaside Series. So it's the works where I'm looking from an aerial view down on an area of the ocean. I tend to leave the beach out so that you're fully immersed in the water. Yeah. And the people, I kind of play with time in these works because I wanted to express how I feel when I'm in the ocean, which is kind of for me a space where time is altered. It kind of slows down and becomes kind of more immediate, like in the moment kind of a feeling. So I wanted to show that by showing the same people in different positions across the ocean in the same space. Because I've also always been fascinated by the idea of multi-universes and the idea that we could be living this life in a different dimension. So, and reacting to places and things in different ways. Sorry, that sounds convoluted, but anyway. Yeah. So I did that work, and so then I just continued to work on that, and I actually I've taken the series to Hawaii, to Waikiki Beach, to Napoli, which is also on the island of Maui, to beaches in Sydney, freshwater, Freshie, Kilkil, Bondi, and then here in New Zealand to Paonui, Piha, and Waimarama Beach. I've probably left some of them out, but it's ongoing thing.
So you've been going to those places to capture
the
scenes.
So because I'm always going to beaches because I love beaches, and I'm always looking at new places. Whenever I go to a new beach, I'm always looking for a vantage point to be able to get higher. Like, for example, in Sydney, it's very easy because you go up the cliffs, onto the cliff tops to get that vantage point. Less easy in New Zealand, but I used the tower at Waimarama Beach to get higher, to get my vantage point. So... Did
you go up Lion Rock at Piha?
Yes.
Brilliant.
I also went to what's the other the other end, the walkway that's now closed.
Yeah.
It's been, yeah.
I know what you mean.
The south end, is it? Anyway, I never know which way is north and south.
North end, is it?
North end, is it?
I think so.
Okay.
The one that goes to Karikari or
Anawhata
or one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I love making that work because it's very meditative, because I take lots of photos of the same place and then I join them together in Photoshop. I do it all manually. I don't do any stitching. That I think there's like a stitching process in Photoshop which never really worked for me. So I use cloning tools, and I build up lots and lots of layers, and each layer I have to adjust the lighting and the color tone and the perspective, obviously the size of the people as I place them further out to sea and things like that. So yeah, these works often get to about 65 layers of images, and yes, crazy huge files, but and then obviously they're all flattened and become the work.
Yeah, that's incredible. And just being able to take, it's almost like you're collaging.
Yes, it's totally collaging.
Yeah.
It's digital collaging.
Yeah, which is cool. And then, I mean, it must be really hard, as you said, to match the sea if you're putting something else in there.
That's right. So the colour of the sea is always different depending on where you're taking the person from.
Yeah.
So they might have been in the shallows and you need to put them out to sea.
Yeah.
And so you've got to change the tone of the water, and yeah.
That's fascinating. And why do you feel like you need to go to different places to capture these parts or these bodies of sea? Because you can't actually tell where it is because you're not including any land. So people can't say, oh, that's Piha. So why do you feel like you want to go to different places? You know.
That's a really interesting question. I feel like I wonder. I feel like my emotional response to each space must be different. So I hope that comes through in some way. I'm not sure if it does, but for me, working on them, the experience of being in that space and in that place really somehow must translate into the image.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
And it influences what you come up with.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that first one that I did with Waikiki Beach, I researched afterwards, because when I knew I was going to Waikiki Beach, I'd looked at other photographs of the beach before I went, and there were all these beautiful clear green waters with this amazing reef underneath the swimmers. And when I got there, it was this incredibly milky turquoise color, and I just thought, that's so incredibly weird. So I Googled and did some research about, why it had ended up this color, and found out that it was this idea of recovering the beach, and in the situation, they'd actually sent out big pipes right out to the back of the reefs, and churned up the reef, and then transported all that coral back as sand onto the beach. But they'd ground it up too finely, so that it had become like a dust or a flour in the water, and the particles are just all floating around in the water, and then also covering all the reef with this fine particle. And so just the devastation is just crazy when you think about that.
That's incredible. So they actually made a mistake.
Yeah, a huge mistake.
Oh, that's really bad.
A reversible mistake.
Wow.
Yeah.
You do have a photograph, I'm just looking at Maui, which has that reef underneath, and it's nice and clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a different part
that
of
was Napoli.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
That was a beautiful spot. There was cliffs there as well, and people were jumping off the cliffs, and there was just so much joy being had in that space.
Beautiful. And you really do capture joy.
Yeah,
in your
great.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's so many things that these photographs sort of conjure up. It's, vulnerability and vulnerability of the sea as well as the people within it. And I wonder too if you taking photographs in different places, if the people feel different. Is there
I think they
that?
definitely feel different. Yeah. A more recent one, which I did in it wasn't in Phuket, it was on an island. No, I've forgotten the name. But anyway, in the water, there's all these tourists and swimming, and then on the beach, there's one Malaysian woman walking past with her kids with her umbrella and fully clothed, and so that kind of gives a slight insight as to where it is. Yeah, and also the long Thai boats. Going past, makes it fairly obvious. But
it's really interesting. And do you think about people's personal stories that you're including, the people that you're including in the photographs?
When I'm looking at them, I'm thinking about their personal stories, absolutely. But I'm also seeing is that thing about being by the beach and in the water. There is so much joy and there's so much leisure involved in that people, you're kind of seeing the best of people, relaxed and intimate and not on their phones. I think we're all made of water, and I think that there's that idea that water is like a second home to us. We came from water and our mother's wombs, and we're made up something like 80% of water. So it's natural for us to really enjoy being in water, yet it's really out of our comfort zone. So it can be incredibly dangerous and
unpredictable.
Yeah.
So there's really so many.
There's so many psychological
ideas.
Things behind water. It's incredible area to look at.
And how some people are very fearful of the water, and some are very confident, and some have never been in water. When I was working at Auckland Art Gallery, I was quite shocked that some children in parts of Auckland had never been to the beach.
Oh my goodness, I did a whole work on that.
Did you?
So, well, not specifically on that, but I was at uni in the last year, we got to be part of the fifth Auckland Triennial, and we were given, we were encouraged to make a proposal for the space, for this big gallery space at the Auckland Art Gallery, as part of AUT. And so I created this proposal to do a public exhibition where I put out a call for people to send me photographs of Waitemata Harbour, wherever was closest to their home. So like either a walk or as they went past by bus past the water, or and then I made this huge wall, kind of like a collective consciousness of the Waitemata, by printing these photographs in the gallery. So they'd send them to me, I'd print them A3 size and then put them on the wall. And that was amazing, because there was a lot of people even at AUT that I was encouraging, can you please send me a photo, I need some more photos. And they would go, it's so far away, I don't even know where the closest water to me is.
Really?
And I just thought, wow, that's incredible, because we're surrounded by water, and yet obviously for some people it's not part of their daily lives, or it's not part of even their consciousness.
And I guess it depends on how you've been brought up.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
Especially you'd think in New Zealand everybody is near water. Really.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that series has come through. I mean, that was in Fluid Alchemy as well, some of those kind of photographs.
Those seaside photographs. Yeah.
So that's
so
ongoing.
there was a new one of Waimarama Beach, and in which my husband was one of the stars.
Really? Nice. Do you ever put yourself in them?
No, but maybe one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a bad idea. Oof.
Have you ever thought about, sorry to interrupt, using drones?
I have thought about using drones. My brother Hamish has a drone. It's the physicality of getting into the space.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
What the hell? Whoa.
That was intense. I'm glad you went underneath that.
That's huge. Another series you have is Oceanides Rising. You've just told me the meaning of Oceanides. So can you tell us a little bit about that series, what the work looks like and how that came about?
Oceanides Rising came out of a photograph that I took of my daughter swimming in the sea as if she was like a mermaid or a kaitiaki of the ocean. And I was thinking how the youth are far more environmentally, well, some of them are far more environmentally conscious than the older generation, and how it's going to be up to them to save the ocean. So I was thinking about her as an eco warrior, and in her look was the question, how are we going to address the situation with pollution in our oceans? So I then loved that idea, so I just kind of carried on with it and took other photos of just the ocean waves, but also other women swimming in the ocean as if they are these kaitiaki of the ocean. And yeah.
Really beautiful. Oh my God, those photographs are just so powerful.
Thank you.
Are you doing any collage Photoshop work with these ones?
No, but I always do a lot of editing. So on the whole, it's more about creating the right lighting and the right mood. Yeah, so some of them appear to be taken at night, but they're taken during the day. So it's just about telling a story, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they do have quite a darkness about them. But then the lightness, you still capture the light so beautifully within the dark.
Yeah.
And, like the froth and that kind of thing that just is so sort of iridescent against the darkness.
Yeah, so yes, it's all in the photos, it's all iridescent because it's pure daylight. And so then I keep some of the light areas and then increase the darkness and
That's so interesting.
and the shadows and things.
Wow. And there is still a slightly abstract feel about some of them, isn't there? Like sometimes you're like, well, that doesn't look sort of real, but it is, but it isn't. It's sort of it really gets you thinking.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, actually, the reason I really like to edit photographs rather than just leaving them as they are is that whole idea that for me, art is not to. Oh, actually, this is a Alberto Giacometti quote, which is, "Art is not to reproduce." The aim of art is not to reproduce reality, but to create a reality of the same intensity.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that we all see the world in different ways, and so playing with these photographs is my way of showing my perception of the world, I guess. Yeah,
with something that's so familiar to people. So you're kind of playing with
that's
that.
That's right. Yes,
you're taking the familiar to another.
That's
place.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. And how great for your daughter to have these incredible images.
Yeah, I mean, how grateful am I to have had her
Such a muse.
willing to go with me, and
that's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow, that is really very striking, and so that feels quite different to the Seaside series, for example.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that another ongoing series that you dip in and out of?
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, which is great, and I can imagine that for you as an artist, it's quite motivating that you're like, where do I feel like being today? And you can kind of dip in and out.
Yeah.
But then also create new series.
Yeah, I really, that's for me, the best thing about being an artist is being able to express yourself in different ways and to always keep it interesting and playful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels like you've got a never-ending supply of concepts or ideas.
I really do.
Yeah, all around the idea of water.
Yeah.
And it's quite lovely in a way, I guess, to have that overarching
Yes, it makes it
theme.
very easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just know it's always going to be about water. And I mean, water comes in so many different forms, different containers like lakes, rivers, the swimming pool, but also you've got steam, ice, mist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's endless.
Endless.
Yeah. And then the idea of people in the water and, underwater and all of that kind of thing. So some of your works are quite abstract and really explore colour and can be a bit more monochromatic and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they seem to really sing as if they are lit up from behind almost.
Yeah, I really like bringing into my photographs that feeling of the daylight, of light. Yeah. So thinking about one of the monochromatic ones, the Infra Moana was, which is a yellow sea. That was inspired by the idea of the seas warming, and so I thought I would create it actually a visual clue that the seas are warming because it's now become yellow, and yet the people swimming in it have no appreciation of the fact that this is happening. They just like swimming around in it like, oh, there's no problem here, no worries here. And that was inspired by a photograph I saw of this coastal Chinese area where so much algae had grown from all the nitrates in the water, and all these people were splashing around in all this green algae, just loving it. And I was just thinking, ooh, yuck. And that was where that inspiration came for that work. But
Interesting.
but also the idea of the camera infrared changing the color of the shot. But in this case, I've changed the color of the sea. Yeah.
And you explore that idea of abstract and interesting use of color through the Goldilocks zone. Is it the zone?
That is the Goldilocks zone. Yes, yes.
So can you tell us about that series?
Sure. So it happened during COVID when we weren't allowed, or we were restricted from going to the sea and or being in the sea. And so I started putting out found materials from my gallery outside at night for condensation or rain, and then photographing these with a macro lens, photographing these materials. And I really love that series. I loved moving away from moving into a more abstract zone of my practice.
Yeah,
and also I'm always drawn to color, so anything that's bright and colorful is going to attract my eye.
Yes, and like that sort of major hot pinks and purples.
Exactly. So fun.
It's quite fluoro and it's amazing. And they're interesting because some of them you can see droplets and that kind of thing, and others not so much so. So it's not referencing water as obviously. Yeah,
so some of those ones actually started up with me putting the I've got like this little black pond that I've used for installations. So it started with me putting materials actually under the water. And then in that situation, it's not so obvious. So that's where I then brought them out of the water and collected the water on the surfaces. So and I chose hydrophobic material so that the water droplets would be obvious rather than just being absorbed into the material.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hydrophobic, that's a good word.
It is.
Love it. And then you do often take photographs of pools.
Yeah.
Which isn't for you another body of water. How does that compare with the body, the ocean bodies of water and then the pool? What are you thinking about?
So I'm thinking about the constructed nature of the swimming pools, which allows us to, become immersed in water, so that connectivity to water and as a place of as a place of relaxation and fun and pleasure, and my favourite one of the swimming pools is the photograph that I took, or actually the constructed photograph that I've created, called Icebergs, which is the Bondi swimming pool called Icebergs. And when I was there and I was taking photographs of this pool, I was thinking, icebergs, that's a great name, like in terms of the idea of the climate crisis and rising oceans. So I decided to create my own pool from these photographs, which was isolated out in the ocean, kind of to talk about how these pools might actually end up on the coast, because they might become isolated from us with rising sea levels. And I just, created this crazy pool where you don't even swim to the end. You kind of swim around. You have to turn a 90-degree corner to swim down the other lane. Mid-pool, and
and it's in the middle of the sea, isn't it?
And it's in the middle of the sea, and so you're thinking, and so I just, it's really, really interesting, because some people notice it straight away and just go, oh, that's kind of weird, like how would you get to that pool? And other people just go, where is that pool? I'd love to go to that pool. It looks great, like.
It's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's it really makes you think. I love that one. It's it feels very sort of European, almost something that you might come upon.
That's right.
In Europe.
Yeah, totally. Dropped by helicopter into the ocean.
Yes, amazing. Imagine it. And then that is quite interesting, isn't it? The title of that pool in Bondi, the name of it.
Yes.
Has probably inspired you to kind of go down that road.
Totally, yes. It was the idea of these icebergs floating out in the sea.
Yeah,
so,
and it really feels like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so good. Wow. And then you also have those beautiful, is it acrylic sheets or?
Oh, yes.
Gorgeous rectangular things that are in galleries on the floor and leaning up against the wall.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about those? They appear in a few of your exhibitions.
They do, yeah. So that was me, really wanting to get away from just the 2D format for my work. So they were inspired by the Devonian era, which was the fifth last great extinction that happened. We're now in the sixth great extinction, but
wow.
I know it's a bit sobering, but so that was a time when the whole ocean, the whole of the world was covered in ocean, and there was fish and coral everywhere, and there's had extreme heat created the extinction, and all those reefs were died and became the oil that we use now to create things like acrylics. And so I see them as kind of like a literal oil slick. And but also I liked I saw John McCracken's work a long time ago in the States, and loved his panel works. And so I kind of played on the idea, took the inspiration from John McCracken's panel works that lean against the wall, this kind of rectangular form. And where he calls his planks, but mine are more kind of like diving boards or zips, into another world,
And how do you make those?
So I actually get them made. So I've got an acrylic fabricator who makes the actual form, and then I I use one of my photographs, which I've manipulated, and have that printed on one side through flatbed process, and then on the other side I use a dichroic film, because that gives that effect of changing light through water.
Oh, wow.
and it also makes it feel like there's some movement, because the colour changes as you move past it.
Amazing. And then the reflection and the light and the colour in those is just stunning.
Thank you. Yeah. Also kind of harks back to my glass art.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the way, I guess, the reflected colour onto the floor or the wall changes according to what's happening with the light in the space.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like there's your art practice. We could talk for days about all the different works that you've made, and it's really inspiring. You are with Fernanda Galleries at the moment, and also Muse Art Gallery in Havelock North, and Fernanda is in Parnell in Auckland. How did you initially make connection with those galleries?
Muse Gallery, the owner of Muse Gallery, when she was setting it up, Kay McGraver, she gave me a call and said she was aware of my work and would I be interested in being represented by her. And I said, yes, absolutely. And that's been an amazing journey with Kay. She's, very supportive, and I've had an exhibition with her. I have one exhibition with her every year, and then there's normally a group show. And it was great because she organised a residency for me out at Waimarama Beach when she realised I had such a connection to the place, and in which I spent 6 weeks out there, which coincided with a full blue moon, because I was quite interested in that, because Motuakura, or Bear Island, which is off the coast there, means moon on the water. So that was a really amazing residency. I made a lot of work there and had a great had an exhibition afterwards. So while I was at Waimarama Beach doing the residency, I met a kaumātua of the Waimarama tribe there, Robert McDonald, who was just so incredibly generous. Took me on to his Hakakino fortress in the hills, and told me stories that he wanted to pass on about his tribe, of which one of them was a story about Hininu, who was the daughter of Tongaroa, and who was banished to become a giant squid because she disobeyed her father and fraternized with the humans. So while I was at Waimarama, I took lots of photos of Motuakura, and the host of the residency took me around the backside of Motuakura, so I was able to take photos from the other side as well. And I decided to start creating a lot of these photographs of Motuakura in line with Hokusai, who did the 35 views of Mount Fuji. So I like that idea that you can take one iconic landmark and kind of create it in different ways.
Beautiful. Is that the one that you were making amazing reflections?
That's right, yes. So
I love those.
Yeah, thank you. You're so generous.
Oh, it's easy to love them. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, so the last one I did of those is this kind of very bright canary yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because the reflection, you expect that reflection sometimes, but it's not what you'd expect.
Exactly. It's not a true reflection, because there's ripples on the water, and that's never going to happen like that.
Yeah. And then it almost looks like it's not, like it's two landforms, but then you are thinking it is a reflection, but it's not what you would actually see as a reflection, if you know. Is that how you see it? Yeah.
So it's just that idea again, people expect, they're okay with seeing a reflection, even though it would not happen in the natural world. Yeah. And then as well, using the other side of the island as a reflection, that takes people a little while.
That's what you did, right?
Sometimes to understand that. Yeah. So
that's really interesting.
It's kind of like showing both sides of the island on one flat surface. Yeah. So while I was at the Waimarama residency, Sally Sunis from Parnell Gallery called me and said that she would be interested in, this was in between times. I'd left Antoinette Godkin, and so Sally Sunis said, would I come and see her when I got back, that she was interested in representing me. So I went in there, and she was a bit shocked when I turned up, because she thought that I was someone else.
Really?
But she reassured me by saying it was your work I was looking at, but she thought I was the other Catherine Carter, who's a painter.
Oh, really?
And kind of does those islands and beautiful water scenes.
I don't know.
So she was expecting to see the other Catherine Carter. And but anyway, so I ended up being represented by her. And then during that time, Fernanda also came to me and said, would I'd actually been in to see James earlier and said that I'd be interested in being represented by them, but at the time they had a different owner and she wasn't really into photography. And so when Fernanda came on board, I was one of the first people that they took on at that time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so that was... Yeah, so that's a tricky thing, finding people to represent you, because at the beginning you kind of think, oh, I'll reach out to people, but I understand from talking to gallerists now that they actually like to find you and be looking at your work over a period of years before they decide that they actually want to represent you and then approach you. So I think that might be a little bit. Yeah, I'm not sure. It might have worked for other people, just never worked for me.
No, it's a tricky one, isn't it? I think it varies, but yeah. And that's why it's good to get your work out there and doing things like awards.
Yeah.
Competitions is another way that, gets your work in front of gallerists.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is important. But it's great that you've been, you've had so many people interested in your work.
Yeah, I've been very lucky, yeah.
I don't think it's luck.
I think it might be a bit of luck.
No. So you're obviously doing extremely well in Aotearoa, New Zealand, which is great, and you have had a reach out of New Zealand and had some exhibitions in other parts of the world. So how have you made that happen, and how was that experience for you?
There's been 2 really great shows that I've been involved in. I was curated into both of them by 2 different people. One of them was Rob Garrett. He's living in Poland now in a place called Szczecin, and he did this amazing group show of international artists called Breathtaking. So I just felt incredibly grateful and excited to be part of that, and that just came out of the blue.
He just found you?
Well, actually, no, I had met him actually when he was living in Auckland, but it'd been quite a period of time and I hadn't really been in touch or anything, and then he just reached out. And then the other one was with Hutch Wilco more recently in 2021, and he was doing a show in Duolong Museum in Shanghai, and that was called Almost Paradise. And in which he invited about 6 New Zealand artists alongside, I think there might have been 8 Asian Chinese artists. That was, again, I hadn't met Hutch, in this situation I hadn't met Hutch, but James Brown at Fernanda Gallery had been talking to him and showing him my work. So it kind of came out through that connection.
And that your work fits so perfectly with those ideas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How incredible to be showing your work around the world.
This is the great thing about being an artist, is that you never know from day to day what's going to come your way. And I think the most important thing is always just to say yes, regardless of how much you have going on in your life or how many commitments you have, because there's always ways to fit it in,
Yeah, absolutely.
Prioritize, yeah.
And just being connected to great galleries, that sort of helps those connections.
Oh, absolutely. It's so wonderful to have someone having your back and having your interest and knowing your art practice inside and out and being able to talk about it in a really good way.
Yeah.
I often hear in particular James, because he's in Auckland. Obviously I don't see so much of Kay, but I hear him talking about my work and I just think he's so eloquent and often says it in ways that I'm not as able to say,
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
Well, once again, Cathy, you're one of these people I feel like I would like to just keep talking to all afternoon and lock you up in my studio and not let you go. But we need to get on to the questions. So what would you say to your younger artistic self?
I probably would say to start earlier. Yeah. To to actually go to uni earlier and get started earlier. I think, but then I would have missed out on all those other experiences. So not sure.
Yeah. Hard to know.
Hard to know.
And what do you find the most challenging aspect of being an artist?
Talking. Talking about my art practice. Yeah, I find it hard, but it is getting easier as I practice more. I used to say I wouldn't talk, and now I just decide to face the fear and do it anyway. And it is getting easier. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And why do you make the kind of work that you make?
It's out of a love of water and the idea that we're without water we wouldn't exist, and I believe water is sentient. I didn't talk to you about all the people who also believe that, but I came across Masaru Emoto years ago, and his crystals that he photographed that showed that water related to things happening like music. And also Veda Austin, who's now taking photographs after showing water pictures or words, and the water mirrors that back to her in these photographs. I love the idea that the water that we have here now is full of our DNA and all the experiences of our past. It's still the same water that arrived on Earth all those years ago. They're not sure how, but potentially meteorites, which brought water to Earth, and it's just cyclical, and so we're all kind of connected with that water and through that water, and we're part of that water. Yeah. And I just want to make a difference to our ecology, the ecology of water and the perception of water.
And what have you got planned? What's coming up in the future for you?
So I'm looking at doing a photography book. All my family are all poets as well as musicians. I'm the only visual artist, but so I'm keen on doing some kind of collaboration with their poetry and my photography. And I've also applied for a couple of residencies, which I'm really excited about and really fingers crossed, but you can never know if that's going to come off this year or next year. But looking at the south of Italy and Japan, actually. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that would be amazing.
It would be incredible.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's very exciting, very interesting. It's been such a pleasure meeting you, Cathy. Thank you, very much.
Mandy.
It's been fun, hasn't it?
It has. It's been so fun.
Yeah, considering you don't like talking about your work.
Exactly.
You've done well. We'd never guess.
Thank you.
It's been lovely, and I find your work so fascinating. And thank you so much for sharing your practice with us and for being on the podcast.
Oh, such a pleasure, and I so appreciate you giving me this opportunity, and the fact that you're helping New Zealand art by doing all these podcasts. It's such a great resource. Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you.